aromatic adventures with the candle enthusiast.
Another Halloween has come and gone, Linus. Yes, it's true. But today is November 6th, and it marks something that I look forward to. I anticipate every single year, and that's gonna be the release of Starbucks Thanksgiving Day Roast whole bean coffee, baby. That's right. Every year I pick myself up a bag, I take it home, and I brew it in all different methods. French press, pour over, drip pot, AeroPress, you name it. I put it through the gauntlet, and I try to make the best possible version of this coffee. But since I've already made videos like this before with the Thanksgiving Day roast, I thought we'd mix it up just a little bit. That maybe we would go to several different Starbucks locations and have them make it for us. Maybe we can even order it with different brewing methods at these Starbucks. We'll see, we'll find out. Today, what's most important is that we're celebrating Starbucks. And with that said, you coffee aficionados out there, I get it. I get it. Starbucks is not your small coffee roaster at the corner of the street. I understand. But I still find Starbucks to be highly nostalgic. Like I said, it's a tradition, so coffee people, relax. We're just having fun. We're just having fun. I'm a self-proclaimed coffee enthusiast myself. I think we've set it all up. Let's get on the road. Let's go try some Starbucks coffee. You know, I didn't even ask. Do you even want to come? You do. Well then let's do this. Stop number one, New Paltz. They told me a couple days ago that they would have the Thanksgiving roast on the shelves and they would be brewing it in stores. So let's do that. All right, so I got my bag of Thanksgiving 2020. Really pretty bag. The past couple years, but this one, we have this like magenta, pink, purple color contrasted by the autumn leaves, the foliage. I did want to pick up a bag, but that's not for now. This is what really matters. We have a standard drip Thanksgiving 2020 in the brand new holiday cup. The barista told me that this batch was freshly brewed. It's still pretty hot. So let me give this a sip and we'll have a chat. All right, so something that seems to be a signature with Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving blend, is that it's really potent. And I'm not talking about like they make it strong, like they brew it strong, like add a higher ratio of coffee to water. It's really like there's an intense amount of flavor. And that's not for everybody. This is a 10, you know, if we're talking about intensity of flavor. It says notes of candied pecan and sage, so herbal and nutty. So there's also elegant notes of candied pecan and sage with dried fig sweetness. But it has a little bit of that bitter cocoa chocolate note, spice. The herb quality of that sage came through immediately, and then it went away. If you're talking about pairing this with a Thanksgiving Day dinner, having a little bit of that sage might remind you of the dressing or the stuffing. Don't let this gross you out, but you know, it reminds me a little bit of like pencil shavings. You know, when you sharpen your pencil, you get a little bit of perhaps like the shaved pencil wood, or a little bit of the minerality of the graphite. But it has those chocolate notes, Baker's chocolate chunks. You know, if you buy a big bag of Baker's chocolates or the chocolate chips, a pleasant amount of acidity. You know, I was struggling with the word acidity because I'm salivating. Salivation is your tip that there's acid in the beverage. This is by and large not high acidity, but it's there. What the acidity does is it cleanses your palate. It strips your mouth and leaves it refreshed, making you ready for the next sip. For a drip coffee, this is pretty successful. The body is a solid medium plus. I think it's on point. This is not overly bitter at all. The acidity is in check for a darker roast, because, you know, Starbucks might call this a medium roast. They call it a dark roast. Well, for Starbucks, this is not as dark as a lot of their dark roasts. Their scale really goes to the heavily roasted side. So a medium roast to Starbucks would be a light roast to maybe a coffee roaster. There's not much of a finish. You know, you kind of get a burst of that flavor. It kind of trickles away after a couple seconds. I think the biggest thing is that it is well made. This was brewed very nicely. No mistakes, no bitter compounds, and, you know, call it power of suggestion, but it truly is reminding me of Thanksgiving. I'll tell you this much. I don't drink a lot of Starbucks these days, and I'm already feeling the caffeine. That could be because I've already had like a 20-ounce thermos of coffee, of very strong caffeinated coffee. All right, so I'm gonna drink this, but I'm gonna drink it while driving, because that is legal. You can drink coffee while driving. While we're doing that, let's head to another Starbucks locale and see if we can get another cup of coffee and see how it stands up to the New Pulse Thanksgiving Roast 2020. Thanksgiving blend. I gotta get that right. I'm right across the street from that Starbucks, and I found a Christmas tree stand. It's bigger than a stand, really. It's actually quite big. We're at Adams Fair Acre Farms, in Arlington, New York, and they're getting ready for Christmas. They're promoting the blue. Blue is cool. Blue is cool. They of course mean blue spruce, but they have plenty different selections as far as Christmas trees, but they're just not done yet. Probably still setting up and loading all of the trees in. I don't know anyone who buys their Christmas tree this early. When do you buy your Christmas tree? Do you buy it in November? Early November? Maybe you do. Maybe you do. We have some little guys right here, little blue spruces. But maybe these aren't for decorating your home. Maybe these are for planting in your yard. They're so small. I can't help but be reminded of Charlie Brown's tree. Only it's gorgeous. It's post decorations of Charlie Brown's tree. You know what I'm saying? You know how like it was just a bunch of twigs? Not even a bunch, it was just a twig. And then they decorated it, the peanuts. You know, the peanuts, they decorated it. And then suddenly it was all green and leafy, or pine needle-y. 'Tis the season, just a little bit early, at least for my scenario today. I've decided to come to a drive-in because I'm looking for a quiet place to film this little segment. And there were forklifts at the Christmas tree stand, and now there are bulldozers behind me. You think an empty drive-in would be quiet, but apparently not. But that's all right, because we have a second cup of the Thanksgiving Blend 2020 Starbucks coffee. And this has been brewed with the pour-over method. It's a little bit more challenging. It can be a lot more challenging since it's not automated. Let's take a sip and see how this compares to the last cup. Whew. Whoa. Wow. That's a strong cup of coffee, even for a pour-over. A pour-over is most likely going to be more concentrated if you order one. It really does depend on the ratio, of course, the coffee beans to water. But this is not only strong, but if the last coffee was a full body, this is like a WWF wrestler here. This is more than a full figure. Yeah, so we have high viscosity. One could argue, and that might as well be me because I'm the only one talking, that this is a bit too concentrated to get some of the more subtle notes in this year's blend. I should say you do get a little bit of smoky, but that chocolate, that baker's chocolate still coming through, the spices, the nuttiness, but it's really those herbal notes that I was getting on the last cup that I'm losing here because of the intensity. And I can tell that the filters that they're using are not too thick, they're not too heavy. Really, a lot of the coffee's components is coming through that filter. What I mean by that is the oils. The thicker the filter, the more of the coffee's natural oils are going to be trapped with the grounds. Now, a lot of folks like high viscosity, they like thickness, they like richness. This coffee right here, this pour over, I would recommend for someone who takes sugar and cream in their coffee. It's not bitter. It's really not that bitter. Usually I'll say add sugar if it's bitter, but I'm just saying that because I think you take a couple of sips of this and you just feel full, you know? There's not any kind of refreshing factor. Something that got sacrificed here was the heat. When you're making a pour over coffee, you're moving that water around a lot. by the time you transfer into a cup or another mug, it can sometimes be lukewarm. And although it's been a solid 10 minutes, 15 minutes since I've purchased this coffee, it's already pretty lukewarm. I could pour this, you see that? Right in my hand. Not hot. My bath water is hotter than that. But still, this 2020 proves itself to be quite a tasty expression this year. I'm recommending it 2 for 2, but let's see if we can try one more to make sure. You know, three's the charm. You know, three. What's the phrase? Three's company, four's too many. That's not the phrase. I'm too much of a retro TV person. All right, so let's move on. Let's get out of this drive-in. I think it's time that we try one more coffee. Let's hit that road. My lips are numb. It's too much coffee. It's not too much coffee. It's too much caffeine. All right, so this Starbucks is a reserve Starbucks. I'm not sure what the difference is, but it's kind of like a mini headquarters. They carry all of the products, all of the merchandising, and you would imagine at a reserve Starbucks, they'd make the best coffee. So let's see. I think they have the Clover inside. Do you know what the Clover is? You don't? Let's go check it out. Can I get a Clover of the Thanksgiving? Thank you so much. All right, so we have our third and final coffee. This was brewed using the Clover method. Think of it as an upside down French press. It's an automated French press is essentially what it is. It uses a coarser grind and it brews kind of quickly, which is, I guess, the only thing that's not like the French press. But you pay a good extra couple dollars to have one made. The quality is supposed to be better. It's supposed to produce a better expression, a better extraction of the coffee bean itself. It smells very fragrant. It's aromatic for sure. Let's give this a sip. Coffee number 3. Oh. All right, despite the fact that I've had far too much coffee today, so much that my mouth is quivering, it's hard to speak and enunciate, this is a solid cup of joe. And that is not an exaggeration. This is a very lovely, a very flavorful, full-bodied, long-lasting finish coffee. This has everything the other 2 coffees had plus more. Although that drip coffee at the first stop was pretty good. With the second coffee, I found that the viscosity matched this Clover, but I could really taste the water. You know, not the flavor of the water, but I could feel, you know, there's this sense that you taste that the coffee has been thinned down by hot water, even though it was very, very concentrated. I still felt like I was drinking a half a cup of hot water with a very strong cup of coffee mixed in. This is perfect temperature for me. I wasn't expecting to give this such a high rating. So I will say that of the three, this one is the most bitter, but it's restrained. It's not too much bitterness. Bitterness is okay. Bitterness is good. Bitterness is praised. It's not too much. It doesn't give too much of a drying sensation on the mouth or gripping sensation. The acidity is really shining through. This is lovely. I'm enjoying this. I was hoping that we would have a closer bout between the 3 cups of coffee, but if I have to rate all three, number 3 is gonna go to the pour over. The temperature is really what got me. It was already lukewarm. Number 2 is gonna go to the very serviceable cup of coffee that was made in the drip method. The first cup, that was, I think, a great way to taste this blend for the first time. The easy winner of this competition, even though I could poke some holes in the winner here, the Clover coffee, number 3. I still think that it's the best of the 3. The question becomes, could there be a cup made even better than the 3 that I just tasted? Well, you know, as I said, I am a self-proclaimed coffee aficionado. Maybe not an aficionado, but an enthusiast. So could I take that bag of Thanksgiving that I bought and make a better cup of coffee? Well, I don't know if I can, but it is certainly worth a try, and I think that is what we should do right now, because we are losing that sun, so we should seek shelter, even though it's quite peaceful sitting right here. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh.